Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's having a great week. It's a cool, rainy day here in San Diego, and I hope everybody's doing well, and I hope your business is doing well. You know, when we did our broker roundtable earlier last week, we kind of talked about business and what are good habits to get into, as I stated during my segment. Now is the time you should be really looking at your business, looking at your 2018 business plan and making sure everything is running smoothly. You know, if you're devoting time and effort and money to your marketing plan and there's a part of that marketing plan that is not working, then you need to stop. You know, now's the time to stop. Don't keep putting your time and effort, money into that. If it's not working, change. You know, do a stop, start, continue type program. Stop what's not working. Start any new concept or idea that you might be talking about. You know, Jessica does a great job talking about IT and the different programs that are being offered by Alice and James. So really take a good look at that and make a good determination, you know, as to what might work into your portfolio, work into your activities, and make your business a success. And then continue doing what you're doing that gives you the best results. I still say, you know, if you really want to build your business and build that referral business, you need to get in front of people. You know, all of us realtors got into business because we believe we had a connection in our own way with people. And so we need to really take that ability that each of us have, even though it's different, we all have it, and we need to get in front of our clients, you know, by way of farming, by joining clubs, whether it's golf clubs, tennis, whether it's car clubs, sewing, reading clubs. Just you want to get in with like-minded people to yourself so that you have that connection immediately. And you don't go in with a club and start beating over the head, you know, beating your new friends over the head saying, use me as your realtor, but it'll come. You know, if you show you're a great person, if you show that, you know, you really do have the caring for them, they're going to eventually come to you and say, hey, you know, Tom, what do you think about this situation? You know, do you know of anybody that can help me? Even if it's a situation that you have no control on, like a refinancing or a title change, by helping that person with that issue, again, you're building rapport, you're building a relationship, and that's what you do in this business. You know, I have had agents that I've managed in the past that have taken 3 to 5 years and really built up their portfolio, keeping in touch with people, having a regular schedule, and that at the end of 3 to 5 years, you know, when the market is up, they're doing business. When the market's going down, they're still doing business. So that's really what you want to do, and that's really what you want your business to evolve into. So again, you know, take our advice, because we do follow that very closely, and we want you to be a success. And the only way we can do that is to really kind of pay attention to us and kind of follow what we say. You know, if you have any questions about it or doubt it, give us a call. You know, we're open to discussion, obviously. So anyway, moving on. Wire fraud. I'm going to be doing 2 clients today and 2 forms today. And what I'm going to be doing is, number 1, wire fraud, and number 2, I'm going to be doing the buyer non-agency agreement. I'm going to be covering these quick today, so because both forms are somewhat self-explanatory, but I want to bring them into your attention, because wire fraud, you know, that's a great way to build rapport and trust. You know, if you go through and just read that document, it's fully explainable. But if you go through and read that document and explain it, you know, to your client, it shows you care. It shows that you have concern about them and their well-being. So make sure you go through that, even though, you know, rather than sticking it in front of them and just having them sign it, explain to it. Just do, you know, a bullet point type presentation on it. Know it well enough. Just say, hey, listen, you know, I want you to sign this, but, you know, I'm having you sign this because it's for your benefit. It's for your own good. I'm going to make sure that this whole transaction runs smoothly, and I want to make sure you're taken care of. So please read this. If you have any questions, let's discuss it. And as we go through this transaction together, I'm going to be bringing this up from time to time when it comes to point to bring your funds to escrow, whether it's to start the transaction or end the transaction, to make sure everything is good and you have nothing to be concerned about or worried about after the close of escrow. So again, review that wire fraud document. It's a great document. It really explains fully. You really don't need to get into any other explanation with it other than really show the concern you have for your client and their finances. The second form I wanted to bring up today is the buyer non-agency agreement. This is a great form. If you are representing the seller, you have the listing, and you have a client come in the door and say, hey, I don't have an agent and I only want to represent myself, and I want to negotiate, negotiate that commission that would go to an agent and just apply it to a discount on the property, then can we as agents say, okay, yeah, that's fine? And the answer to that is, yeah, we can. But what we need to do is have that buyer sign a buyer non-agency agreement. Now, what this clearly states out to that buyer, as well as to our seller, is that we will not be representing them in any capacity. They are on their own. Now, does that mean that we cannot provide them with documents such as an RPA, items like that? No, it doesn't mean that. In fact, in the form itself, it clearly states that we can provide them with those documents. But we're doing so in behalf of the seller, not in behalf of the buyer. So when we do it in behalf of the seller, who is our client, who we do have an agency agreement with and a fiduciary responsibility to, then we are providing that form, whatever the document is, to the buyer in behalf of the seller, our representation to the seller. So read through this. It's an excellent piece, and it takes all the obligation away from us in the representation of what we disclose or not disclose to the buyer, and it puts the onus and the responsibility clearly on the buyer's shoulders if he's representing himself. If he has his own broker, obviously, or agent, we obviously refer them on any questions they have, any documents they need. We always refer them back to their agent or their broker, and then move the transaction along from there. So can we handle both sides of an equation where a buyer represents themselves? The answer to that is, again, yes. And make sure, though, you get this buyer non-agency agreement signed by the buyer so that it clearly outlines what your responsibilities are regarding agency. And speaking of agency, I'm just wrapping up here. Agency is one of our best protections for a lot of different reasons. So when you're representing a buyer or seller, but I'm talking more on the buyer side here, and you're going to go out and show that buyer property, make sure you get that agency signed up front. I know we'd like to do it when we write the offer, but if you do it up front and use it as a tool, not as an obligation that they have to use you and they have to pay you a certain percentage based on the buyer broker document, an agency just establishes relationship, period. There's no obligation on the buyer. If they decide to go out and use another agent or not buy any of the homes you showed them and they go up and buy another home, there's no obligation to that. But if they go out and get another agent and then come back to a home you showed them and purchase that home, then procuring cause comes into play, and agency does help. One of the questions they'll ask in a mediation is, do you have an agency signed with this client? If you can say yes, then for that property, one, you have the agency signed. Two, you have proof that you showed that property on a certain date, a certain time to the client. Then that goes a long way in winning and coming to a successful conclusion with an arbitration or mediation when it comes to procuring costs. So again, I hope you found this interesting and beneficial. I look forward to talking to you. If anybody has any questions on what I stated today, please feel free to reach out to me. If you are up in LA, Northern California, or Temecula, Marietta, please reach out to your broker, Omar, Jeff Green, or Mary Jane Morris. So again, have a great day and stay dry.